guys, out on a night walk when the weather gets nice here. My daughters love taking night walks, which is just something that I don't know, it's just something that happened, became sort of a custom with us after dinner, going on a night walk, and they're pretty nice.
Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. Alright, so let's talk Loom. Loom comes in pretty handy, and when you're taking your night walk, it's kind of nice to charge up your Loom, and as you're walking around outside in the dark, enjoy the glow. Alright, so in the 1950s, Rolex started using Loom, and they started out with radium. And then around the 1960s, they switched to tritium. And radium was pretty radioactive. And tritium was a little bit better, but it was still radioactive. I think it has something like a half-life of 12 years. So after a couple decades, it doesn't work anymore. But you know, if you're working on these watches, the tritium poses a risk. So it wasn't ideal. And, you know, tritium, as we know it tends to patina, and that's something that I love. I think it looks great. And there's people that want to speed up the patina, and it seems that the best thing to do is to put your watch in a dark place, which is where my sub is. So if I can get a nice creamy yellow even patina, then that's a positive thing. That's something I kind of look forward to. And you know, when I got my no date sub, I wanted a tritium dial because I wanted that patina. I sort of wanted it to patina throughout the years, and that's what I was going for. But I realized it was a double-edged sword when I had that watch serviced, because they told me that they might have to change the hands, and they would replace them if they did have to change them with Luminova hands. So I realized it was just a matter of time before a service was going to cost me my tritium hands, and then all of a sudden I'd have Luminova hands on a tritium dial. And you see that here in Japan. You'll see a slightly aged dial and the white hands, and you can tell that they've been replaced. And dealers, they don't charge less for that here. But let me tell you, if you try to sell them your watch, that's one of those things they're going to pick up on, and they'll probably nickel and dime you down over that. So, you know, it's just, it's not ideal. So that sort of turned me off from the idea of tritium, and I wouldn't even consider a tritium piece now, to be honest. But I do have one, you know, the sub, and yeah, I like it, and I kind of look forward to see what happens with the patina, but I can't take it back to Rolex, because I have a feeling I got lucky that last service, and that in the future, on its next service, they're going to try to switch off those hands. So independent, that's the only way I can really go with that watch. But that's just the way it goes with the tritium dials. So, you know, some people try to speed up the tritium with other methods, but really just letting it happen naturally seems to be the best course of action, because, you know, the last thing you want is an unevened patina. And, you know, when you start using UV light, and I read all about these different like techniques people use to try to speed it up. I think you're better off just letting it happen naturally, or putting it in a dark place. So that's where my sub is, in a dark place, hopefully evenly browning. All right, so about 98, they stopped using tritium, and they went to Luminova. And they got the Luminova from a company in Japan, Nemoto, which had developed it, I want to say in the 40s or 50s, probably the 40s. And it worked well enough. The watches from this period have Swiss on the dial, as opposed to Swiss made or the T less than 25, which is what the tritium dials have. And yeah, so 98 to about 2000, they used the just straight up Luminova from Nemoto. And I don't know about you guys, but for some reason, I'm kind of turned off by those Swiss-only dials. You know, I mean, an argument could be made that those could be collectible because they only made them for 3 years. But, you know, for some reason, I don't know why, they just, something feels incomplete there. And I don't know why. It's just, whenever I see one of those dials, and I'm shopping, I'm looking for, potential purchase, that just tends to turn me off. They don't fetch extra money here in Japan. And again, I mean, it's probably one of those things, if you took it in to sell it, they'd probably look at it and say, well, it's got the Luminova, not the Super Luminova. I'm going to have to drop the price we're offering you. Anything to lower that price. By the way, that works two ways. I love going to places and looking at, I don't make a rule of this, but if you're looking at a place and the person, here, let's charge this thing back up. If you're at some place and the dealer's kind of haughty, picking out those little things, those is that the Super Luminova or just the regular Luminova? Or has that set of hands been replaced? That looks different than the dial. It looks lighter. Oh, it's a replacement? Oh. That sort of can take them down a peg. Believe me, they'll do it to you if they're trying to buy your piece. I don't speak from experience, just from an assumption, but I'm guessing it's a correct one. All right, so anyway, Swiss-only dials, Luminova dials. Well, in about 2000, and that's, a lot of these different characteristics of the Rolexes, I mean, there's a lot of overlap. So, for example, my 1999 A-Serial GMT Master 2, it's got Super Luminova, but then it also has a hollow link bracelet. But then recently I saw an A-Serial with a solid link bracelet. So there's a lot of overlap with these innovations. So what I'm saying is that even though my A-Serial came from 1999, I'm assuming, it's not odd that it has the Super Luminova versus the Luminova. And it has the Super Luminova because it says Swiss made. And you're looking at Super Luminova right here. So if you can see at the 6 o'clock, it says Swiss made as opposed to just Swiss or the tritium marking. And this Luminova comes from a Swiss company, Tritech, and it's what they used until about 2007 or 2008. And In 2008, they switched to Chromalight, which is a Rolex proprietary Luminova. It's blue. It charges really fast, lasts longer. It's supposed to be easier on your eyes, the blue color. Now, personally speaking, it looks a little cold to me, so I prefer the green. I prefer what you're looking at right here. I think that's my favorite. But it's not bad, you know, and if it lasts longer, I guess that could be a plus. I might just be used to the green. You know, you give me a G&T Master 2 Pepsi ceramic, and, you know, after a month, I could be singing the praises of Chromalight. So, Luminova, yeah, it's nice. It's not bad, and you know, I guess the kind of advantage of it is, you know, unlike something like a Casio, which you need two hands to check the time in the dark, you can just look down, and as long as your Luminova is working properly, you can just tell the time. You don't need an extra hand. And I suppose it can come in pretty damn handy. I mean, you know, for me, yeah, checking the time at night, that comes in handy. But I can't recall ever being in a situation where I was like, wow, Luminova, I really needed that. But it is kind of nice to charge it up and just see it glow. To quote the pontiff, like a lighthouse. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.